Welcome to the 82nd episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we are covering the 6th week of the winter 2019 anime season. Stay tuned for the end of the podcast when we will discuss any mid-season cuts we want to make. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we will spoil everything like usual. My name is Leo, and if you don't hear from me next week, it's because I've been murdered by Cat and Brains from the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast. Somebody feed my cats for me. Also with me are Bcom and Cat.
Hi.
It's funny because we were like, yeah, let's meet up and like while he's in town or whatever. And Leo's like, is this a trap? Am I gonna be like attacked and put in a trunk of a car?
I said something like, is this where I end up duct taped in the trunk of a car at some point?
Look, it's a legitimate concern. If I was Leo, I'd be worried too.
I mean, I don't know. We're just so friendly. How could he suspect us?
I just feel like Brains is like, to carry this out, I'm gonna need more muscle.
Cat, like last podcast, was saying there aren't like any really nice people out that exists or something.
Well, that's very true. And I mean, there are no nice people in this world.
Okay, well, that's good.
Oh, how'd it go with you guys in some nonsense?
Ooh, you first.
So I was like really sick like earlier this past week. I had like a stomach flu or food poisoning or something.
And I think
whatever
now
it was,
I have it.
Sucked. Oh, great! It's
just
going
psychically
around.
through the internet, it was spread to Leo.
Yeah.
So I'm like mostly recovered from that, but while I was sick, I did play a bunch of Anthem. I beat the main campaign and everything. I don't know why I even ended up buying it. Like, I really didn't like the 10-hour demo. Like, but there was like enough there that I enjoyed where I was like, all right, I kind of like playing this on my own as like a relaxing game. Especially one where you don't really have to pay any attention to the plot because it's dumb. And it's like not too hard, so you don't have to concentrate. Like, so it's great for like listening to podcasts. Like, I got so much podcast listening done playing this stupid game.
Oh wow,
it's perfect for that. So yeah, my thoughts after beating the game are that it's not a good BioWare story at all. The end game is a little bit grindy and a little bit boring. I would not recommend buying this game.
Have you made it far enough to get the legendary contracts yet?
Yeah, I think I just opened those up because I've started getting a bunch of epic stuff, but no masterworks yet.
I've gotten one masterwork today. So, yeah, and the masterworks just have like really crazy things on them to make them pretty powerful, but
I heard it's funny, like, apparently the way they had set Masterworks up is that they're kind of random rolls, like completely random, but they're so random that you could get like a 0% roll. Like, so you could get a perk that's like, you get a 0% buff on this gun. It's like, oh, thanks.
So you basically get a nothing? Like,
yeah, you get a shit gun. It doesn't do anything. And it's like, oh, great, it's a masterwork. I don't know if they're changing that
extra weapon damage.
So I'm looking forward to that unless they patch it.
That's funny you say that because I've seen like, just even with the other ones, there's been like 1 or 3% to things that like, that might as well not even be a fucking mod on this gun. It's not 3% is not doing anything for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But
how about you guys? What have you been up to?
Ooh, so okay. Last weekend, I went to a Katheed and Kambria concert. So they were here in Indy. I was like, we're doing this. I got together a bunch of my friends. We went out. Because my roommate in college, I had no idea back then that she was super into Katheed and Kambria. Because I did not know what that was at that time. And she even has like a tattoo on her back that's just like one of the album covers. So she's like super into them.
Oh, and you never picked up on that or what?
Well, I was just like, you have a pretty tattoo. And she's like, thanks, it's from a band. And then when I got into them, she's like, you're into them now? And so they finally were in Indy and she's like, we're going together. And so we went and we got general admission seats. And we started out in the middle. And we were like, we're going to make our way to the front. And so we get like we like had this guy hoist us up, and we like crowd surfed to the front. And I felt really fucking bad for the bouncers at the front because they looked so stressed and concerned. Like, as people like crowd surf towards them, their faces were just like, I hate this. Oh God, here comes another one, and they like have to grab them and like put them down.
That makes sense.
But I mean, I guess they're getting paid, so fuck it. But yeah, so we made it all the way to the front. They put us down right by the stage. We're like, yeah. We like hung out right near the front, and it was great. We had a great time. The only bad part about being right near the front is at one point the drummer decided to throw his drumsticks like into the crowd.
Yeah.
And he threw it and hit me like right above the eye. And I was like,
that's
fuck,
awesome.
that hurts. and I like looked down because I'm like, well, shit, it hit me in the face. It's mine now. It should be. And this asshole dude next to me was like, no, it's mine. And like already had it. And I'm like, well, you're just a dick. Like, it hit me in the face. It should be mine. But
Cat taking things to the face.
Oh my God. That's funny. Like, did the drummer, like, did he see where he threw it? Do you think he saw that he, like, hit you right in the face with it?
I don't know. We were right in the front, so maybe he did. if he did, he was probably like, oh shit, whoops. Like,
what if he was, like, aiming for you? He's like, oh, that crowd surfing girl, I'm gonna get her good.
Yeah, just like, that bitch, like, didn't like, get here 3 hours before, like, crowd surfed her way to the front, like a asshole.
What if that's his
Hates
thing?
line cutters.
Like every concert, like his goal is to pick out that one person that did that and then just fucking hit him in the face with the drumstick.
Well, we're lucky we
like
did that at the beginning of the concert too, because like there were people at the end who were trying to crowd surf, and it never goes as well at the end because people are all like hyped up and they're not paying attention, and you just see people getting like flipped and then they fall, and you're just like, oh,
Jesus.
At the beginning, it's more tame. Like, you can actually just go and no one flips you and no one drops you. So,
yeah.
Oh, man. I saw one girl just fall, like, on her face and break her glasses.
Oh. Ow.
I was like, well, I'm sorry for you.
Please practice safe crowd surfing, people. Come on.
But yeah, it was fun. So what about you, Leah? What'd you do?
Oh, well, it's just another typical week at work until a guy set himself on fire.
What?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Leo.
Intentionally.
Wait,
Wait, what?
seriously?
Is he a Buddhist monk? He was just like in protest?
So, and I'll tell you what happened, and then I'll tell you why we think he did it.
Okay.
So, I guess they were outside at like break or whatever, and he just starts covering himself with lighter fluid and just fucking lights himself on fire.
No.
This was after he was banging his head against the wall.
Wait,
And like
really?
the supervisor came out and was like, I need you to get on this cart and come with me. And then at some point he ended up dousing himself on fire and dousing himself on fire. Yeah. So they called the lifeline and everything because they didn't know how bad it was going to be. But I think he just ended up at the hospital, the local hospital.
Okay.
And treated
They
there.
probably took him to the stress center. That's usually what they do with stuff like that.
Two things we think that triggered this. One was he got a low performance review just like last week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we believe the second one that definitely triggered it was his girlfriend broke up with him.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has happened on second shift. And like, I'm home and my mom texts me and she's like, hey, I heard there was a fire. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? I hadn't heard about this yet, but a lot of other people had heard that fire truck's been called to the facility, and that's not too unusual. Like, there's a ton of people there. Obviously, accidents happen, and when like you call an ambulance, you got to call the fire department too. And it's like, and sometimes machines catch fire. I think the last fire we had was like a dumpster caught fire because some chemicals reacted. So I didn't think anything of it until I got to work. And of course, it's the one thing everybody's talking about. I'm like, a dude set himself on fire. Holy shit. And I knew who it was too, because they told me who about him. And the weird thing was, I always remembered who this dude was because every single day, the Pokemon Haunter, He had a black and purple hat he wore every day to work with that damn Pokemon on it. So I had noticed him. But that was my work week. That was like Tuesday when that happened.
Holy fuck.
By the way, speaking of Pokemon, did you guys see the new 3 starter Pokemon?
No, I saw it was like Sword and Shield or something. Is that what?
Yeah. Okay. There's like 3 new Pokemon. There's like Score Bunny. There's Grookey, and then Sobble, which is the one I like because he just looks like he's gonna just cry himself to death.
The thing I didn't like about him was they're such bland Pokemon designs.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And all 3 looks like they used the exact same model and just changed a couple things on them.
Yeah, like the bunny looks slightly different, but the other 2 look like almost exactly the same.
I don't understand why they don't just use the same Pokemon instead of trying so hard to make new ones. Like, if it's not going to be... Like, if they're not going to want to put a lot of effort into it, and there's only so many things you can make that are super creative, like, why not just use the same Pokemon?
Yeah, I mean, well, they do. I mean, they bring back the same Pokemon, but, like, yeah, I mean, because, like, people want to discover new cool things. And some, like, occasionally they do make cool new Pokemon. Though I don't know what any of them are.
Ran a contest for, like, for somebody to create a new Pokemon for them.
I'm sure they have. Surely, right?
So. Figured I would have heard about it, though.
Here's my Pokemon that's based on a used condom.
Oh, God. Yes.
Anyway.
Okay.
That's my contribution.
Or like a sperm. Like, it just looks like a little...
That probably already exists, let's be honest.
Well, probably.
Let's talk about anime, though. Talking about sperm. Mob Psycho 102. Episode 6.
Yeah, Kat did officially ruin the fucking OP for me. I cannot hear it any other way now.
You know it sounds like that, though. Get ready to suck me off. Just imagine some, like, asshole boyfriend, like, coming in. He's like, get ready to suck. That's, like, his line every time he goes. Oh, man.
Ugh.
All right, take us away, Bcom.
Okay.
Okay, so episode 6, Poor Lonely Whitey. This episode starts...
Oh, sorry. That's a weird name. That's a weird name for a corporation.
Oh, what's it called? Clin City Inc.?
Isn't it also called, like, Whitey or something?
It might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the episode starts 4 years ago when Reigen is, like, working for this telemarketing company. I think it was called Clin City, but maybe it was also called Whitey. I don't know. But I was actually kind of unclear on what happened. It seemed like he quit his job. He took like he walked into this like empty room, and then there was this guy standing in the corner of the room, and he's like, "I'll take it." I don't know what the hell was happening. That went over my head.
That would be the I can't believe what they're called.
Office building. Yeah. I think what happened was, okay, so like this makes total sense to me because like people who are in those telemarketing jobs, like they just lose all will to live and they just lose all their self-humanity after a while, right? It's like one of those jobs you can do for a while, but like after a while, it starts to really wear on you. And so it makes sense to me, like he's got the salesmanship, like the con artist kind of mentality and like almost that weird desperation. And I could totally see him getting that from working at a telemarketing company. I think probably he just finally was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to kill myself. And instead of lighting himself up with lighter fluid, he was like, I'm going to rent this office building and start a new life.
So that was him buying the office. Okay, I didn't get that because like it was like he was in his office and he like left like one room and then he was like, I don't know if he bought an office right next to his old office. It seemed like he was in the same building, but
I don't know. That's just like the landlord or somebody. That's who all that guy was.
Okay.
The realtor. Yeah. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Back in the present, Mob sets a new personal push-up record. He does like 35 or something, which is not bad. And he gets like tossed in the air by all like the dude bros. And they also toss this other birthday kid in the air and they all decide, let's go celebrate at a family restaurant. And so they go, and Mob is actually like feeling really great about himself for the first time in a while, and he's like hanging out with friends and relaxing, and they're about to go to karaoke next, and then he gets a call from Reigen. Reigen's been getting one job after another because of his like beautiful website. And so this time he calls Mob to come help him, but Mob actually stands up for himself for once. He's like told Reigen a million times, like, don't summon me on like no notice, and you do this every time. And so like Mob says that, and Reigen ignores him, saying, well, you're probably not doing anything anyway, so just hurry over, and he like hangs up. And so Mob shows up to like exorcise this guy who like died because he hit his head on a block of frozen tofu. And like, Mob shows up and he like takes him out within like a millisecond. And as they leave, Mob tells Reigen that like, even I have a school and private life that I care about. And then like Reigen goes on this big like blustery rant about like how he's Mob's master and like how he needs to choose his social circle wisely, and if they're getting in the way of the job, he needs to just get rid of them because they're just mocking him. And Mob's like, no. He's like starting to understand that not everything Reigen says is true, which is like the understatement of the fucking century. And that he's actually not easily taken advantage of. And Reigen's like, oh shit, I screwed up. But he later thinks to himself that Mob still won't have anybody to really talk to about his psychic problems without him, so he'll probably be back at work soon, right? But like Mob is at home. He tells his brother Ritsu that he's like not going back to the office for a while because he's been blindly relying on Reigen too much, and he wants to change that.
I think this was a really great turning point in the series, like this episode, because I mean,
yeah. It's like long overdue.
Yeah, because you've been thinking this all along. Like, why is he putting up with this? Like, there's times where you're like, oh, like, it's great that they have this relationship, but also he does take advantage of Mob a lot.
Yeah, totally.
So this will be good. This will be good for both of them.
Yeah, and like in turn, Reigen's like, well, because he realizes Mob's like sort of not coming back. He's like, well, you know what? I built this whole business up myself before Mob even got here, and I just need to focus on the jobs that like I can handle by myself. And so like, and just leave the real shit to actual psychics. And so Reigen is shocked to like he like basically starts like doing like the little odd jobs that he's good at. But then like, and when he's out on the street one day, he's shocked to see Mob actually walking with friends. Like he can't believe Mob actually has a social life. And like Dimple like floats by and says like he finds Reigen like hiding like from Mob on the street. And like Reigen tries to convince Dimple that like letting Mob be a normal middle schooler means he's never going to be able to use Mob's powers to get something that he wants. And Dimple just like mostly ignores him and says like, we may never see each other again after this, so think about that. And so like Reigen heads back to his apartment and he like sits alone sadly, like thinking to himself that maybe he'll just update the website's homepage now, probably to like remove Mob from it. I don't even know if Mob's on there though. And he checks friend book and he's surprised to find that it's his birthday. He totally forgot, and he has no messages except one that comes through, and it's from his mom. And it's just his mom saying that, like, I'm worried about you. You're 28 and, like, you're in this shady job and, like, you should try to, like, get a real job. And here's my present. And her present is just, like, a PDF of, like, a job recruitment agency application.
Yep.
Like, yep. It's like, damn, that's not a great present.
Ooh, that's a harsh burn right there.
Mom's a savage.
Your own mom is just like, listen, I'm a little embarrassed by you, but I love you.
Yeah, she's like, you need to get your shit together.
Get a life. I'll love you. It's like, oh fuck.
And so like, meanwhile, Mob's like enjoying himself at karaoke with like Tomei and stuff, and like he has a terrible sense of rhythm on his tambourine, which is kind of funny. And so yeah, Reigen heads to this nearby bar where he usually gives advice to these like really gullible people that are regulars there, and he wanted to be somewhere among friends, and he tells them it's his birthday, but even after he tells them that, they're just like, oh, that's nice. And then they keep like sort of badgering him for advice, like nothing special has happened.
And also to buy like some fucking pillow or something.
Yeah, just like the stupidest shit.
Yeah.
He also has like his first drink ever, it seems like, which is like a lemon sour.
Do you think it's
extra
ever,
sour.
or do you think like he used to be an alcoholic or something, and this is his first drink in like a long time? I couldn't tell.
Pretty sure they said this is the first drink ever.
Oh,
I think it's his first drink ever. Yeah, I was trying to tell too, because like the bartender's like, I don't think that's a good idea, or he's like, are you sure it's a good idea?
Yeah, that's what made me think like, oh, did he used to drink a lot or something? Like,
yeah. But then like he leaves the bar sad, and he's really buzzed, except like we see that the bartender said like, I didn't put any alcohol in that drink. That's weird. I always like that joke in anime. They do it a lot, but it works every time. Regardless, Reigen is like in a nearby alley throwing up, and he realizes that like things are going in a real bad direction. And so he makes this dramatic decision that he needs to become somebody. And so he like wakes up the next day at like 6 and gets to work as new Reigen Arataka. He starts like beautifying the city, streaming exorcisms online, and like holding life counseling seminars and shit. And to truly prove himself, he decides like he's gonna take down this ghost called like the Player Killer, who is a ghost player in a popular MMO, who even other psychics say they can't take down because their power won't work inside of a video game. And so he just has to use multiple accounts and like multiple computers, and he basically becomes like a living MMO playing zombie inside this game in order to level up enough. And then he just finds this player killer and beats the shit out of him. And that's like the big thing he did. It's like, yeah, that's the thing about Reigen, is like when he puts his mind to something, he's pretty unstoppable. But so yeah, he gets popular enough that he gets offered to go on his TV show, like a national variety TV show. And they're going to have him like try to exorcise someone live on television to prove like exorcisms were real. But there's this other psychic there. He's like the guy who he like kneed in the chest the other episode, and he's pissed about that. And so he told the TV producers about Reigen, and he's trying to take him down live on television. And that's like where the episode leaves off for next week.
Okay.
Which that'll be interesting. I wonder if Mob is going to see him on TV and he's going to go try to help him, or if it's going to go like the other way, where like Mob's going to see Reigen on TV and Reigen's just going to like make a complete fool of himself.
Oh, I think that Reigen is just going to get fucking taken down. Like,
could be, yeah.
Down to Pound Town. It's going to be bad.
I won't say anything. I've already seen the next episode.
Okay, good. Don't say anything.
I'll be sure to tell you something and ruin it for you after we're done recording.
Oh, Leo, fuck you.
But yeah, like you guys were saying, like I was really happy to see this like character development for them. They really needed, like, Mob needed this like time alone away from Reigen. And like maybe he says like I know you're not telling the truth all the time. Like he has to know that Reigen is not a psychic at this point. Like, he has to know. Like when he asks him to show up for this exorcism and Mob handles it in like a split second. Like if Reigen was even like the slightest decent like, you know, psychic, he could have handled that on his own. So I think that's where Mob was like, I'm just done like with this. I need to figure something out on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I hope there'll be like some enemy they have to face where they have to team up, because they have to use like both of their skills or something. That'll be cool.
Kinda.
All right, so next episode, Run with the Wind.
Ooh. So Bcom gets one of these twofers.
Oh yeah, 2 in a row.
To take a minute to like clear your throat, stretch, crack your neck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm feeling good.
Okay.
And get warmed up to run. So episode 17, Searching for the Answer. The ep kicks off with 2 guys coming up to Nico-chan and asking if they can join the team, like the Kansai University track and field team. And they like assume he's the coach because he's super old looking.
Which is so sad for him. Like, he's just like, what?
And he tells everybody else about it, and they're like laughing their asses off. But yeah, Haiji puts up a note saying they're not accepting new applicants for the time being, like on the door of their like dorm and everything. Because he's just like, I can't focus on anything other than just the Hakone and like our team that we have right now. Though at some point they probably should look forward to the future. But I mean, Haiji's not worried about it at the moment. There's a showdown though as they're eating in the kitchen when like Joji and Jota say they have like a soccer game they promised to be playing in next weekend, and Haiji's like, no, you don't want to go do that. What if you get injured? And we're gonna go review like the Hakone course. Yeah, well, that's also hilarious.
It's like, oh, what if we get injured? You mean the person who's fucking injured as shit? Like,
exactly.
Oh my god.
And he tells them like, well, can't you find like replacements? And like the Hakone takes priority, obviously. And they just say like they're frustrated with Haiji because they want to know what he meant by aiming for the top when he talked about that all back in the day. And they get into this big argument with everyone about if they can even have a shot at winning in the first place. And like almost no one believes that they can truly win. And so Joji and Jota think like, well, there's no point in competing if we can't like hit the top. And Kakeru tries to explain to them that their philosophy is like really nihilistic because like they're basically saying, in his opinion, that like if you're gonna die inevitably, why keep trying to live? Which is like really over the top answer, but you know.
But there's a point to it. I don't know. Until this moment, I assumed like all anime, like sports anime, that eventually they will win, right? But this episode in particular made me think that this may be the first example ever of a sports anime where they do not have the main characters win. Like, it's not like, in the middle, they lose a big game and it's sad, and then they come back and rally and then win at the end. No, this may be like the thing they, set out to do. They don't get to do it, but like they learn all these lessons and all that shit.
Well, any form of realism, this is pretty much it's an impossible dream for them to get first place because there's going to be teams out there who are all cockaroos or something, It's just they just don't stand a chance. I mean, like, I mean,
but
I don't think it'll happen either.
Like, it's at least different than all the other sports animes I've ever seen.
I know they should have done it with Harakana Receive.
Yeah,
no, they shouldn't have. That didn't make any sense.
It would have made perfect sense.
No, because Harakana Receive was a character-based story, and the characters have to face each other for that story to make any sense.
Well, but it didn't make sense that they won.
They could have tried
make sense
that
they lost if they were going to have like 5 seasons of the show. But if they're not going to have like 3 or 5 seasons of the show, then they need to win that match.
No, but like this is what this anime is showing us. Is like this is the only season of this anime that's going to exist. I don't think they're going to win. I think it's going to all be about like what you learn along the way, even when you try hard at something and you don't get first place or whatever.
Oh, what's my quote? My quote down here that I wrote, it's not about the finish, it's about the journey getting there, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I get it, show. I know what you're going for.
Like, but that's something different that we've never seen in another sports anime. And I'll give it major props for being unique and not doing the same formula that all sports anime do.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
And like you guys are saying, it's definitely setting up for that type of finish as opposed to Harakana Receive, which was 100% setting up for them to win that match.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving on. Jota and Joji start being really immature and like making like fun of like Kakeru, and like Haiji shuts them up and everything, and he tells them he himself doesn't know what the top is that he's aiming for, but he's just trying to figure out what it means to run. That's like what he meant by that. But they're still kind of annoyed. And so the twins blow off the guys like the next weekend, and they just go to the soccer match instead. And Kakeru like apologizes to everyone for not being able to answer their question. He's like blaming himself about like how he handled them after the qualifier, and Yuki says it's like not being able to answer like what is the meaning of life, but Kakeru's like, well, even I wanted to aim higher than just qualifying, but like he wasn't able to bring himself to say that to them because he couldn't guarantee anything. But so the twins are at the soccer field, and like nobody else has shown up because they're like used to getting up early now, which is funny. And they tell themselves that their only real responsibility is to just work hard enough so that the people that they beat along the way to make it to the Hakone aren't like pissed at them for, not trying hard enough. And as they're thinking about that, like Kakeru comes like running out of nowhere to the soccer field, and he's like, we all got to go to Hakone. And so they like start trying to run away from him, but Kakeru is really fast, so that doesn't work out. And so they all pile into a van, and they head to the starting point of the race near this like Yomiuri Shimbun Tokyo office. And they drive along the race path, like checking out all like the different relay stations and like the lay of the land for each section. As they drive along section 2, Haiji explains like it's the aces section. Like last year, that's where Fujioka ran like a legendary sprint. And Haiji asks Kakeru if he wants to run this leg, and Kakeru's basically like, I'll run any leg, no matter what. Doesn't matter. And so the course is like truly diverse and like really beautiful as well. Like it heads along the water and then up into these like hills, like mountains, and like before they reach the halfway line, that's at like this big lake Ashi. And a few of the guys are like happily drinking in the scenery until Prince comes and then tells them to like head back to the parking lot. There, that douchebag Kosuke, he always just shows up, and he's always a douchebag, and it's kind of annoying.
It's like his goal in life, just to be the most asshole of assholes that he can possibly be. Like,
yeah,
he's like,
how can I
create more vitriol and hate in the world today? What can I do to just be the bile on the soul of humanity?
Yeah, and I think the one thing we learn is that he's made like the A team for his school now, so he like will be running in the race. But yeah, Kosuke tells them that even if a single runner from their team catches a cold, they're finished, which of course they knew already. But yeah, and even if they do finish in the top 10 and earn a seed for next year, their seniors are graduating, and so they won't have enough runners next year.
They also have people asking if they can join the team that are freshmen.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's not a big deal.
Who fucking cares? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, look where some of these people started out like a couple months ago. Like, you think they're really worried about next year? I don't think so. And so, like, Joji and Jota are like pushing Haiji to respond, but he refuses, like letting Kosuke just like walk back to his team. And like considering the fact that nobody tried to punch Kosuke in the face, he's like, well, that's kind of progress.
Like no one tried to assault anyone today. Very good job. Like hands out treats. Like
exactly, good job, everybody. And so they head elsewhere, and Haiji explains that Kosuke considers competing against a strong team and getting better to be like his reason for running, and he doesn't understand any other reason. But like Haiji doesn't accept that. It's true that they need all 10 of them to run, of course, and he hopes that the people will follow them in the future who empathize with the way that they run and that the reasons they ran for. And so there's no need to respond to Kosuke because like there's nothing he could say that could change his mind, but like besides just showing them like how they're gonna run. Mm-hmm. And Haiji's like, does that answer your questions to the twins? And they're not really sure, but they like what he said, and so they're like, all right, fine. And so after this, like the twins chat with Hanako, who tells them that Haiji's been thinking this stuff through for about like 4 years, and if it was up to her, she would just believe in him because he's already come so far at this point. And Joji and Jota seem to agree with her and also say that like Hana is like really cute and meeting her was a blessing. And she like sort of tears up smiling at them.
But the look on her face is like they're now in a positive mood. It's like she's about ready to tell him something that's just going to fucking tear him back down again. Like she has some secret. It's just the look on her face. I was like, what? Why does this look so ominous?
Like, because I don't know. Musa thinks that she's like into them, and maybe she is into one or both of them. I don't know.
I feel like it's that she doesn't distinguish between the two of them is the weird part. Like, I agree that she's kind of into them, but yeah, it's almost like she's into the idea of them, and it's like you can't date both of them. Like, I guess like you can, but it might be a little weird.
But yeah, I also like the way she was sort of tearing up made me think she knows something bad that is like either that involving Haiji or something. Like I don't know what it is, but like she seems to know something. She's known Haiji for longer than anybody else. I don't know. That felt very ominous.
Well,
to me.
and plus with the thing at the but I've personally felt more ominous stuff from Joji and Jota this episode.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like them in the car, like sitting there, being all quiet and everything.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I don't know if they're just reflecting on like their kind of cattiness earlier with the soccer thing, or if they're gonna pull something. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
I don't know. I think they sort of came around.
I was very positive with Kakeru though, because like he ran after them and was like, "Come back! Like, don't play soccer." And I don't know if we talked about that, but that was awesome.
Yeah, I feel like Kakeru is setting up to be like become the leader of the team in their time of need when something happens to Haiji. But yeah, which has already sort of happened, but I think it's going to happen again, basically.
Yeah, well, but who's going to run? Like, because, yeah, he could lead them, but, like, they still need, so it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, we'll see. So, also, Kakeru, at the end of this episode, Kakeru and Musa are walking around, and Musa tells him that, like, previewing the course made it sink in that, like, he and not Haiji or Kakeru is going to have to finish, like, some individual section of that race. But he doesn't feel that anxious about it because he knows all he can do is run his best and just see what happens. And then there's these like assholes walking down the street who notice the runners, like Kakeru and Musa walking. And they're just like, oh, the school's probably trying to pay like this exchange student Musa to run to like promote the school. And Kakeru is like, what the fuck? Kakeru tries to like go after these guys and Musa's like, don't worry about it. I'm fine. Like, what would you even say to them? It doesn't matter. And it was just like a weird thing. I guess that's like a friction thing in Japan where you have like, you know, exchange students running. I guess they consider them to be like ringers that they're brought in. But I don't know.
It's a setup for the next episode. To start off.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, Fujioka bumps into them at the end of the street, and like it cuts away to show at the very end Haiji going to the medical office for a check-in before the episode ends.
Isn't it like a foot surgeon or something? Yeah,
orthopedic surgeon. So like maybe he needs surgery, but like he's been going to these checkups all along, and like the doctor's been like, "Oh, you're fine."
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's gonna be some soap opera bullshit coming up. Just serve it up on a platter.
It's gonna be like, if you run this race, you may never run again.
Yes, it's gonna be like, you may not walk. You may walk with a cane your whole life. And he'll be like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And like dramatic music will play. And it's all gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much.
Leo's like, I don't want it to be true, but I think it's true.
I've already seen the next epised.
Yeah, well, stop watching ahead, Leo. Well,
I know, Leo. How dare you?
We got so far behind.
Well, we'll get into that.
I had to watch some shit today while waiting on you guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell us about Kemurikusa, episode 6.
Yay, Kemurikusa. So the mysterious figure, as I totally thought it was, turns out to be one of the sisters, Riku. She's like very much modeled after the Yankee type girls, like a lot like Saki from Zombieland Saga.
Yeah.
She's like, and she's got like that accent and like that drawl they do. It's just kind of cute, I think. But she, like the others, thinks he is a bug at first and like attacks him with a yellow leaf, which is like a type of an electrical attack. He barely dodges, and then he uses like a green leaf to heal himself. And Riku notices it's one of Midori's leaves and finally believes him since her sisters seem to be cool with him. You know, she's like, okay, I'll be cool with you too. She also notices that he has a sense of touch and makes him scratch her back. So I'm guessing the others don't have this sense. And it also explains why Ren, in an earlier episode, didn't know what Wakaba was talking about when he's mentioned, I think it was smell.
Yeah, so like, it definitely seems like she's the only one who has a sense of touch, for sure, because nobody else seems to understand it among her sisters. And maybe one of them has like a sense of smell, or maybe different ones have different abilities and different senses for whatever reason, but she's definitely the only one who can feel
Have we lost you yet, Kat?
Oh my god, I watched this, and the entire time I watched this episode, I was like, the leaves are moving in weird ways, and I don't get it. Like, they're like using it as a compass now. One of the most interesting. I don't understand.
Like, okay, I'll get to it in a minute, but this episode specifically, we get into how to use these leaves.
Oh, well, the diary part, I guess, was slightly interesting, but like, I just don't. Like, every time I try to understand this anime, I'm just like, I feel dumb because I just listen and I'm like, what? And then I'm like, why am I trying to understand? Like, I'm terrible. Kat, I know.
We have to break it to you. You are actually dumb.
Oh, fuck
As payment for scratching her back, she ends up teaching Wakaba how to use the leaves. Apparently, like, applying pressure causes them to start glowing, and like a series of little dots show up that he can press and make it do things. The leaves also have multiple functions, and some can be kind of complicated, she also says. So just think of it as like he's carrying around fancy iPads, and each one can do like really crazy weird stuff.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I looked at it.
Not to get into like an intelligent design argument or anything, but like
right.
these things feel like they're designed by someone, right? Like to do a purpose. Like they are like tools
to
made
have these
by
specific functions and whatnot.
I figured they were tools. Like I got that part of it. It just I don't know. Maybe it's just that I don't care enough to understand all of this. It's just not my type of anime. That's valid.
Like it's hard to understand necessarily like where this is going besides discovering that like the other sisters are still out there and what their mission is. And then once we discover that, like, will we care? That's an open question. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because like when I was watching Girls Last Tour, I really cared about those two girls, even though like that's all there was to the anime. And I cannot make myself give a fuck about any of these girls. I have to tell you, they could all fall off a cliff right now. And I'd be like, oh, and they made a pretty blood-shaped stain when they hit the ground. That's interesting.
So, yeah, the Girls Last Tour, I was really into the characters, and I was really into that world they were in. With Kemurikusa, I'm not as into the characters as much, but I still am like, really into this world. So like when they're talking about these leaves, I'm like, oh yeah, and like Bcom said, like these were obviously created for a certain purpose by someone. So you know, what's the story with that? Okay, Wakaba manages to like activate one of his blue leaves and like make a shield with it, and it turns out Riku is there because she's investigating like a heat source coming from somewhere in the subway. She also tells Wakaba not to tell her sisters about her because she's supposed to be gone. And yeah, Bcom, you put in your notes that she talks about one of the other sisters, like Ryoko. I don't know. One of the other sisters.
Which one was that? Ryoku, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're not dead. They're apparently still alive. And they also give him like another Ison. That's the little blue leaf that can like detect water for him.
Yeah.
And then he goes on his way back and he uses the yellow square Kemurikusa, and it turns out to be like basically a diary. One of the sisters wrote that they had a lot of questions about the world, saying obviously a lot of people used to live here and where did they go. He also finds a cryptic message saying that when I am split, one of me will have a memory leaf and they can use that to find answers.
Yeah, and he specifically said that like that writing looked different from the rest of the writing in the diary. Mm-hmm. So to me, I thought that was like one of the Renos before they were split. Or is it Reno or Rena? I forget. The Renas.
Yeah.
Before they were split, wrote this potentially. And then like, but you see that like they scratched off the part of the page where they were going to like tell them about the mission. Because they were like, no, I'm just going to let them live life however they see fit.
Yeah. He's getting ready to read about the mission. They're like, and this is what the mission is. And then they're like, but then says not to worry about it. And they should just live free. So it's like, okay, huh. So there is a mission. I wonder if we're ever going to find out, but.
I also wonder if the Rena was the one who crossed that out, or if it was somebody else like Ryoku who crossed that out and said, live how you want. I think
it was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem to know more about the world than the other sisters do. They're together.
Yeah.
He then meets back up with everybody and they continue into the subway system. They eventually come across a very large route that Ritsu says is the same as Midori. Wakaba like whips out the yellow leaf again and like finds a part about Midori. It says that if they come across a large one, even if dead, there might be water nearby. It also says, I can't be too sure about this, so I won't tell my stupid sisters who will try too hard. It's like, okay. And then like they follow it and at the end they find like a large tree and this like white fog surrounded by like lots of pools of water, and that's how that episode ends.
Yeah.
Kat, you gotta have questions.
I watch this every week, and I just watch them like careen around in this fucking bus with these weird root legs coming out of it, and they use these dumb leaves, And I don't understand. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Like, I don't know. We can find out they're like Martians from outer space. And I would just be like, oh, that's fine. Like, I just don't care. I'm sorry. I tried really hard. And I'm watching this and I keep trying to care. It's just not my anime, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine. Anything else you want to add, Bcom?
I think we covered most of it. Oh, I did like that Riku likes pain. No, I'm just
she's like, I like pain. It makes me feel alive. And Wakaba's like, exactly. Okay.
I was like, interesting. Okay. That was pretty funny. Yeah, everything else was just like, I was really intrigued by the diary and where that's all going. And now that they've found a big source of water, I'm sure they're going to get into a big fight next episode because like it was like cryptic. It was like, well, if you find a big tree, there's probably a lot of water nearby, but it also may not be safe. So I'm sure there's going to be a big fight. But and I'm glad that Wakaba is learning how to use his like leaves like now. I liked that like trial by fire that Riku put him through. It was good.
Yeah, I just like Riku as a character. I just like that type of character.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think they're just very interesting.
Speaking of very interesting.
Ready to move on? The Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
Episode 6, 311045.
So,
okay.
I've heard a lot, and I think it makes sense that these are like dates. Like,
okay.
Whereas the 31 is the day, the 10 is the month, and 45 is the year. So like October 31st, 2045, basically. That makes a lot of sense to me.
That might
Have you checked all the other numbers?
The other numbers sort of made sense as dates as well, for sure. Yeah.
Well, are they all the same year? Because that would.
Yeah. Did they all end in 45?
They're all 45. Yeah.
Okay, then that makes some sense. Yeah.
Okay, so first off, I want to tell you to chill, guys. It's just Phil at the door.
Well,
oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, we knew it was either going to be like, oh fuck, shit's going down, or like, oh, it was only such and such. So
yeah, and he's like, it's Phil, and he's like, I'm playing hide and seek, and I'm starting to get more suspicious of Phil. Ever since we brought it up forever ago, I think
Phil's the mastermind.
Like I just imagine him just coming out and being like, and like he's just this evil tiny child.
He's like an informant somehow for Isabella. So the Prodigy trio start to work on more of their plan. First, they need to get outside and then over the wall. And lastly, they have to basically think of a way that they can be self-sustained once they're out in whatever world they're going into. They don't really know yet.
Oh my God. Now, you just have me imagining Phil as like little Hitler or something. God damn it.
As little what?
As little Hitler.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Just like this evil incarnate being. Oh, my God.
So Emma also wants to introduce this person. That's how it words it. It's kind of weird. Who owned some of these books in the library, named Mr. William Minerva. He left a message in front of these books with Morse code. And the words are run, doubt, danger, truth, harvest, monster, farm, and promise.
How do these kids know about Morse code, by the way?
I don't know.
I don't know
It's
why
so
they
dumb.
know so much. Like, why would you teach these children who you want to eat? Like, let's make sure they know things like Morse code so they can escape.
I have seen other people voicing these complaints, which we have the whole time. Like, yeah, we know you want to make them smart, but why are you teaching them, like we said, tracking, survival, Morse code? What the fuck?
Also, I do not buy this bullshit thing that they keep saying in this anime where they're like, the more smart they are, the more delicious. I'm like, no one is more smart because they're more delicious. That's not the way it works. Like, that's bullshit. We don't go around being like, what cow is the smartest cow? Like, it doesn't matter.
I was going to ask, when Isabella, called in to the superiors, did she use Morse code or anything? No, right?
No.
She just, left, a
It's just
message.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, okay, maybe that would be a reason for them to need to know Morse code. It's if they were ever going to become, a mom or something else important, and that was their way of communicating. But otherwise, the fact that they know Morse code is just, I guess they just read every single book, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
So Oh, yeah. There's something more shocking here in a second. So through these words, they believe there might be a human society they can go to out there and that this person on the outside is trying to help them. And really strangely, it was Phil who noticed the Morse code and not Emma. So little Phil was the one who noticed the Morse code patterns in the picture.
It's all part of his evil plot.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, uh-oh, he's up to something.
Oh my god.
He's working with Isabella.
He's going to start talking in a German accent. Watch out for Phil. Oh, God.
So if you thought Don and Gilda getting scared was enough to deter them from still trying to get to the room, don't think so. Oh, so Don is a prodigy pickpocketer because he bumps into Isabella and steals the key from her.
He is pretty good at that, which I would not expect because he's kind of like rough and clumsy in other ways.
So... Like, when and how did he learn this skill?
Yeah, they have so much stuff in this anime where it's like, and this person just knows how to do this. Like, obviously they're not street rats because they've never left this. Yeah, he
had no reason to ever learn this skill, or in fact, even know about it. They go inside the room and like they find nothing up first. It's just like a linen closet and whatnot. And then Don notices like a latch on the floor. So they go down. So they're now inside a secret room that had another secret room. And they go down and like find a bunch of kids' toys that were like taken from them when they were shipped out. They also find like Connie's bunny. And they both just figure out that the other three really hasn't told them the whole truth. Something's going on. Mm-hmm. Then they find another false panel. So it's a secret room inside a secret room inside a secret room. They find the communication equipment behind it. And I laughed. I audibly laughed when I saw this. I was like, Jesus, you guys need to back off. And then like they go back upstairs and they hear like Isabella in her office, who she's become suspicious and like reacts when Gilda accidentally makes a noise. And she's like waiting on the other side to hear the noise again when like one of the little kids comes bursting into the room and gives her the key. He's like, I found this on the floor, and it's the key to the room. So did they unlock it and then just like chuck it into the hallway?
I don't know. It just
and then why wouldn't
weird.
she check anyways while she's there?
I know. I was like, of course you would check, because you wouldn't just be like, well, I guess I dropped this on the floor and I also heard a suspicious noise. Oh, well, like you would check immediately. I don't know. And also, like, do you think she's keeping all of those like bunnies and shit in there as like her weird trophies? Like her weird serial killer trophies, kind of?
I don't really know.
Because it shows like all of the kids that
maybe she's just keeping them until she has her next batch of kids and then she
hands them back out again.
Yeah.
I do think these are like the kids that have gotten eaten or sent away, and she keeps their like friggin' little animals as like a prize or something.
Yeah, I think it's like her weird little trophy thing. Like she gets something out of that. That's odd. But I guess you have to be a little odd and twisted to do what she's doing, so
yeah,
makes sense.
So the five meet up that night, and Don is like demanding the truth. So that's what he gets. He now knows about like the place being a farm and the demons and stuff, and he's like just like really pissed because the three couldn't trust him enough with the truth. Like he ends up punching like Ray and Norman, and almost punches Emma, but then like stops himself. he then
punches them like really hard too.
Yeah. He then like runs
like a truck
outside and has this like little cry session, and then they come out and then they all make up and like, oh, we all have to work together. But then like somebody was watching them.
They do this way too conspicuously. Like they all come out in the middle of the yard and they're like, oh, we have to be friends. And I'm just like, dude, like this is way too conspicuous. And yeah, you can tell someone's watching. I really like the camera angles in this anime where you can tell that someone is watching them and you don't know like what point of view you're seeing, like who is spying on who. And it's really interesting. It just makes your mind continue to think throughout this anime.
I agree. It keeps it tense. Yeah.
In this next part, like it's just like a fast fire, like bunch of random stuff happening. First, Emma tells Norman her plan for getting everybody out. We don't hear it. And he's just like, it's a bit reckless. And then he just randomly goes off and starts checking all of Ray's stuff. And he finally finds like a loose panel, like behind his bed. And when he looks inside, he says, all this to make sure you two don't get killed. So I think it was also quoted. So I think he was reading a note.
Oh, really? Always make sure you two don't get killed. Yeah, I don't know what that could mean yet.
Yeah, and like I said in the subs, they had it quoted, so it was different. I don't know why. And you can't tell at all what's in there. It's something slightly squarish. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't tell. I looked as well. I couldn't see.
I thought
what it was.
Possibly maybe they could have been the books, and it was actually Ray putting those books in there the whole time with the Morse code, like his another subtle way of like letting him know. But he's already done this with the Connie thing. The third thing to happen is that Norman has Dawn steal detergent and herbicide to help with their investigation outside, he says. They then have Ray pass along false information to Isabella. He says Norman is trying to kill her and is collecting items to do so. He names like 2 of the items that Dawn stole. And since Ray says he knows where they're keeping it, they will replace it with something harmless instead. Isabella also tells him the next shipment date is set and it's on his birthday in January. Like there's a shipment getting skipped or something like that. I don't know if she's lying to him or not.
Probably lying to him.
Yeah, just misleading him too. Mm-hmm. And then like the other 4, which would be Norman, Emma, Gilda, and Dawn, are walking through the woods when Sister, I forgot her name, Krone. Yeah, when Sister Krone pops out and tells them she saw everything last night, so she was the one watching. And she's like, I know you all know the secret of this house. She then offers to join forces with them. So I found out something really interesting. So we keep getting caught up on Krone, especially with like Kat really got tore up by like the doll scene where she's tossing around. So there's really interesting thing about her. Her character's been completely rewritten for this anime.
Really?
I guess in the manga, she is like super calm and collected and is like barely any different than Isabella is. She's not this crazy person we have here, which is why I think she keeps sticking out to us, because we can tell she doesn't fit for some reason.
Because there are a lot of scenes in this where she is very calm and collected and like is a very smart person. And then you see these weird scenes where she's acting all crazy and it doesn't make sense together.
Yeah.
It doesn't match.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting because we were picking up on something about her that wasn't quite right.
It's not consistent. It's a bad decision on whoever did that's part.
Yeah, so I guess that's what happened.
It doesn't make sense, and it's an inconsistency in her character.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand going a different way with the character. I wish they hadn't done it with a black woman.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate in that way. And also, it just doesn't... It makes it so that you don't... Like, when you're seeing the scenes where she's very smart and put together, and then you're confused because then you see these other scenes where she's acting all insane. Like, it doesn't... It makes you question the character and be confused constantly. It's not a good way to go.
Yeah, so when I was listening to another podcast talk about that, because they had read the manga, and they were talking how crazy it was that the characters... I was like, God, that makes total sense now. I get it.
Yeah. I've seen a whole bunch of tweets and posts about like people just pissed about the whole doll thing, like, and how different it is from the manga, and just
I want to say
annoyed.
the doll's not even in the manga.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think they said that also. Don't quote me on that one.
Oh, well, interesting.
Take a break.
Yeah, let's take a little
we'll
break.
be back in a minute.
Be right back.
The following is an extract from Reanimator Pod episode 47, Blood, Blood, Blood. Taka discusses Des Irae.
Most of the characters in the show, particularly the villains, have more than one name, like many more than one. For example, the super powerful mage from my synopsis is Karl Kraft, also known as Mercurius, also known as Faust, also known as Saint Germain, also known as Paracelsus, also known as Cagliostro, also known as Copophilia Smudge. Woo! Okay, that last one is a Reanimator special, but the rest are all legit. Like, he actually has those names. How about a few more?
He's got more names?
No, they're other characters. He actually had that many names, though. Wilhelm Ehrenberg is Kazikli Bey, because why not? Valeria Trifa is Christoph Lohengrin, who's a priest and is commonly referred to as Father. Lord Heydrich is also Reinhard, and Teresia is Rhea, but Fujiren, aka Zarathustra, is our main character, and also refers to Rhea as Senpai. So we never really learn her name until other characters start calling her Rhea. But really her name's Teresia, so I don't really know how that adds up. Ugh.
And if you like that and you want to hear more from the Reanimator Pod, head on over to reanimatorpod.com. That's reanimatorpod.com. New episodes are out every Monday.
Don't drop that. Don't drop that. The Trash Pandas bring you this nugget from another trash can. What happens when Brains and Bullets discuss episode 2 of One Punch Man?
Pretty much gene splicing heads. They will
Yep.
Yeah, they will splice genes. They have a cyborg gorilla. They have a frog that walks on 2 legs and communicates at long range. Like they got. You think they splice
The Lion King?
Yeah, they have the lion. They have a f***ing lion, beast king, and
Simba.
yeah, he's f***ing Simba. I don't mean he's f***ing Simba. I mean he's f***ing Simba.
We at Trash Pandas Watch Anime dig through the trash so you don't have to. You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter where you'll get live updates from what we do.
And we're back, and it's time for the Cat Power Hour as I cover this bullshit 3 times in a row.
You and I are just going to kick back, break out the whiskey.
Pretty much. Okay, so first up, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind. So this is the, what is it called, like White Ice?
White ice.
Okay,
Yep.
So the beginning of this episode, they dive into the fucking lake. And, like, I don't know. Giovanna is, like, stuck in the ice and he can't get out, but he urges Misa, like, get out since he now can.
I like also that DiGiorno's like, oh shit, this guy has ice powers. Going into this lake was a bad idea.
Wait, did you just call him Giorno? Is this not like a pasta brand?
Giorno. No, well, yeah, DiGiorno. Yeah, yes, it is. DiGiorno's a pizza.
I said Giorno. It's his name.
It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno. Yeah. No, but like his stupid explanation was like, well, there's a lot of water. It's gonna take him a long time to freeze it, and then like immediately they're like, oh no, he's freezing it really fast. We're fucked.
Well, but like he doesn't have to freeze it all. Like he could just freeze the part that they're in, which is what he immediately does. It's not that hard. Like, oh my god, this fucking episode. So yeah, he's like, hurry. Get out while you can. And it's like, I was thinking to myself, like, wait, wasn't Misa stuck to the side of the car? Like, I guess that got fixed when they shook the guy off for a second. But yeah, so Giordano's like, oh, we have to get the object so that we can get this stupid disc thing, because that's what we have to do, and it should be our number 1 priority, because that's our mission, and everything else doesn't matter. And I'm like, Giordano, like, sometimes he says
Who is
stuff.
Giordano, Cat? That's not a name.
I don't know. What the fuck?
It's Giorno Giovanna.
Fucking an Italian name that starts with G. I don't know how you want me to fucking say
Giorno.
it.
Just call him DiGiorno.
DiGiorno. I guess we're just gonna call him DiGiorno. Giorno. Fucking whatever his Italian fucking name is.
Oh wow. This racism is unbelievable.
This is really
your notes literally
right
say
here.
Mista and G.
No, I'm just imagining like the couple of people who are in Italy listening just be like, oh, so offended, and just like turning off the podcast. No, we love Italy. I just can't say it because I'm a hick American who can't pronounce things. Okay, all right. So Giorno. Like, sometimes he says stuff, and I'm just like, but really, though? And it's just bullshit. Like, this whole speech that he does here, it's too team player-y for people he hasn't known very long. Like, I could see this if it's like, these are my main people, like, and they've had these bonding moments, and, like, you can tell that they really care about each other. But, like, other than the action, you don't see them bonding as, like, people together. And so it doesn't make sense that he would make this sort of self-sacrificey speech.
Yeah, right? I felt like all of that throughout this episode with all the stuff about, like, resolve and, like, teamwork. It was just a lot of, like, speeches, and I was just like, not really feeling this.
Yeah, and I guess it's supposed to make us see him as, like, this good guy and, like, awesome, but it just feels forced and bullshitty to me.
JoJo has always been, like, brother in arms very quickly.
True, yeah.
Yeah, for me, when I can totally understand, like, oh, they've bonded over this trauma moment or whatever, because I see that in a lot of anime, especially shonen, but, like, they don't they don't do a good job of showing the bonding moment between the characters very well for me to buy it. Like, they needed to do some more work, I guess, is what I'm saying, that I didn't see. And so it feels forced. But anyway, Mista and Giorno. We got an okay for that, Bcom?
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
Bellissimo.
Mista and Giorno go see the statue with the disc, like, in it. They see where it is. Mista gets his hand fucked up, like, trying to get this disc. Quickly tells G, like, hey, turn the car into a plant before the car gets too cold for you to turn it into a plant. The ice dude sees this, and he's like, oh, they're gonna grow vines out of this plant, and so he freezes it before it can get too big. And then, but Misa's like, haha, this was all part of my plan, and urges Giorno, like, make more short grass, because, like, that's all he wanted was, like, plant material.
Yeah.
And he forms this, like, weird snowboard with the grass and the vines and shit.
Yeah.
This entire fight is fucking bonkers.
I know. And
Even
then he's
for,
like,
I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, even for JoJo, this fucking crazy shit's happening right now.
and then he's like, oh, I'll just freeze whatever the fuck you're doing over there so you can't do it. And he's like, haha. And then Misa's like, that was part of my plan too. Now I have a frozen thing of like plant material that I can use as a snowboard. And he like uses it to skate across the lake. Basically like surfing / skating. I don't know. And then the ice dude kind of sees what's going on and is like, oh no, and like unfreezes the ice around the grass. So then Misa falls into the lake. And the ice dude's like, well, that didn't work out for you, did it, bitch? And he like starts freezing him. I don't know. Things just happen.
Yeah, that is exactly it. Things just happen.
Giorno urges Mista, like, hurry, gather the grass again. While he can still fire his gun. So Mista uses the gun to shoot the grass, which Giorno then turns back into car parts. So that when they're shooting towards the dude, they're turned back into car parts and then, like, skewer the dude, the ice dude. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And, like, one of them is, like, this big nail, and it turns back into this big nail from being grass, and then just, like, hits this ice dude in the forehead. And
I remember watching this and going, I'm so glad I don't have the summary for this one, because there's so much fucking nonsense just happening right now.
I mean, it's ingenious, but at the same time, it's like, what? The ice dude is like momentarily incapacitated. It's just like, there's a nail in my forehead. And then they try to, so basically while he's freaking out about that, they try to go get the disc. And Mista isn't satisfied though. He's like, well, he's going to come after us again. So he like jumps back in and goes to hit the spot on the back of this ice dude's neck where he breathes, I guess. And he's like, this is his only weak point, because otherwise we'll never be able to kill him. But when he's facing up, I guess the hole is like hidden. So I guess he's like a dolphin with a blowhole or some bullshit. I don't know. And so he tries to like shoot the hole, but the ice dude's like, I already thought of this. Ha ha! And like he has this wall of frozen air around him that makes the like all bullets ricochet, and then Mista gets shot.
This is so fucking ridiculous. He's like freezing pockets of air that's reflecting the bullets back. And like Mista takes like 20 some fucking bullets.
I know.
It's insane.
And then Ice Guy starts looking for the disc while Mista is down. And while he's looking for the disc, isn't Giorno just like ranting? He's not even doing anything.
Pretty much.
I'm like, you could be fighting him. You could also be looking for the disc.
It's
but
like
instead,
he's like holding his hand.
Car.
Yeah, he's
I don't know. But instead, he just rants about resolve and like makes another speech. And I'm just like, we don't need a speech right now, Giorno. We need you to beat the shit out of this ice dude that just almost killed your friend.
Pretty much.
And then Giorno hits his fucked up arm to make blood spew out, and I'm just like, what? And there's like a flashback of Mista's backstory where like the person he killed to save this woman who was being like raped or something, Like, they don't see it as self-defense, so he goes to jail, and then he gets, like, helped out by the gang, and that's why he's there now. And, like, because of this, it somehow made Mista believe in destiny. And I'm like, how does that make you believe in destiny? Like, I don't know. I mean, okay. So suddenly, and I love, like, the narrator, too. He's like, and that's how Mista believed in destiny or something. And you're just like, what? And then suddenly, so Mista suddenly shoots a bunch of bullets off of a pole that's nearby into the ice dude.
Well, didn't the blood from Giorno's arm, like, that hit the frozen ice pockets of air so he could see where they were?
I missed that part. Okay, so, like, G, like, before the flashback, hits his arm and a bunch of blood spews out, and it, like, doesn't it make him get stuck to the pole or something? Doesn't he get, like, stuck?
Shit.
Well, I know there's
anymore.
the part where, like, he freezes his own blood when he's, like, backed into the pole.
Later. Yeah.
That's later.
I don't know. He does something with the blood. There's a reason. It's dumb.
I know, like, Mista's blood gets, like, sprays all over the guy's face, and that, like, helps.
Well, that's later.
Okay,
but, like,
that's all
I know
later.
that Giorno's blood does something. It's all just supposed to be like, oh, these guys are hardcore. Like, they're using their blood as a weapon. And it's like...
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, so Mista, like, there's this pole nearby. He shoots a bunch of bullets off of it into the ice dude. But the ice dude has, like, taken... Okay, so this part was the most what the fuck to me. He's taken ice into his suit and unfrozen it so that he can use the oxygen that would be in the ice. And so that way he can close up the breathing hole and not have to have this breathing hole.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? So, like, why did he even have it then? Like... It's dumb. So, like, so basically, Mista's like, haha, I beat you. And he's like, oh, but I already got rid of that loophole. And I don't know. It's dumb. Mista's blood gets all over the ice dude and freezes when the bullet, like, so doesn't he get shot again? And that's why his blood is everywhere.
He's trying to, like, the ice dude's, like, being pinned against this pole, and it's got, like, a large spike coming out of it, and he's trying to, like, force the ice dude onto this spike so that it kills him. And he's, even though he's shooting him and it's pushing him back, his bullets are still coming back and reflecting him. He's like, this is my resolve, as he loads his fucking chamber again. I'm like, what the fuck?
But yeah, so I think that Giorno's blood is the one that gets him stuck to the pole, but then Mista is the one who, like, gets him. Yeah. But then the ice guy, like, so basically they're both trying to get this guy to, like, impale himself on this sharp spike. But the ice guy, like, freezes the bleeding from his neck wound and has it support his neck from the back so that the sharp spike doesn't dig in anymore. And, like, Mista's getting shot, like, all over the fucking place and, like, gets shot in the head at one point. And then Giorno, like, immediately, I guess, makes something fill in the hole. I don't know. But, like, if you make something fill in a head wound, are you changing the chemistry of that person's brain? Because that thing that you replace their brain with isn't their brain.
Look, this guy didn't have much of a brain to start off with, so I'm not that worried about it.
That's true. That's true. Oh, my God. So, anyway, like... Giorno heals the head wound, kicks the ice dude until he falls back onto the spike finally. And I'm like, why didn't we do this all along? Why did he have to, like, do this whole scene where he's like, this is my resolve? Like, why didn't you just jump and kick him into it? That's dumb. And so, like, they finally kill this dude. They get the disc. Giorno heals Mista by making the bullets into replacement parts for the wounds. And, like, then, oh my God, so, like, the rest of the gang is, like, kind of boating up to them. Like, Nyarncia and Bucciardi they're, like, coming up on in this boat. And they're like, do you see them? Like, they're trying to catch up. And like, Nyarncia sees them, and it looks fucking like Giorno is trying to fuck Mista.
No, he's trying to blow him.
And Mista's like,
100%.
it's sensitive, no. And I'm just like, Oh, I love this scene so fucking much. And Yarncia is just like, I don't see anything.
So this is just like a JoJo trend because like they've had scenes like this in the past too, where like guys like butts get stuck together, or their faces get stuck to each other's crotches.
My favorite is the guys' butts get stuck together thing from the first scene. If anyone hasn't seen that, I challenge you to go look up on YouTube like JoJo magnetic butt scene or something like that. It'll come up. It's the most hilarious thing you've ever seen in your life. I've watched this too many times. An embarrassing number of times. It's hilarious. Anyway.
With all this crazy shit happening still in the end, I'm like, don't ever change JoJo.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's sensitive. No.
I saw somebody post a picture of that scene where it looks like Giorno's giving Mista a blowjob, and they're like, out of context saying, I was like, well, number one, that was specifically played to be out of context for somebody else in that show. And you can do that with every scene of JoJo.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I like that Ghiaccio, the Ice Guy's like stand was called like White Album Gently Weeps. Obviously named for like the Beatles' White Album and the While My Guitar Gently Weeps, the song by George Harrison. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like that got a shout out. I was super impressed in the flashback where Bruno is talking with like Mista, like younger Mista. They go to this nice ristorante and they order a shitload of bruschetta, and like Bruno actually pronounces bruschetta correctly, and I was like, damn. Like even these Japanese people can pronounce Italian words correctly. Man, like what like excuse do Kat and Leo have now?
Oh shit.
But it's actually funny because like a lot of Americans, even Italian Americans, will say bruschetta, which is incorrect. It is not the right way to say it. It's
Wait,
bruschetta.
so say it the correct way. Since you want to be all fancy pants. Okay, bruschetta.
Bruschetta, yeah.
Okay, but if you go into an Italian restaurant,
It's spelled wrong though.
and you say I want bruschetta, they're gonna look at you like you're a stupid piece of shit, and they're gonna be like, "You mean bruschetta?" Because that's what we say here.
Well, it depends what type of Italian restaurant you go on. It depends how expensive this restaurant is.
If they wanted it with the K sound, they should have put a K in there instead of a fucking CH.
I kind of agree with you. Like the CH sound in Italian is a K sound. Like so, like key, like K.
Jeez.
But I kind of agree with you in a lot of languages that like they probably should have used just like the letters that made sense in English.
Or maybe put like a little accent mark or something on there for us in American so that we know that like something is weirdly pronounced there.
Yeah, there's probably a better way to do it, but other than having everyone learn like Latin or Italian, I don't know. But yeah, it's weird. So, like, yeah, I can't expect people to pronounce it correctly and everything. Like, I'm not going to, like, yell at people like, oh, it's bruschetta, you fool.
No one ever wants to be the person in the restaurant being like, let me, like, correct you all fancy pants about your pronunciation of this thing.
And I also grew up saying bruschetta for, like, a million years until I found out about this, like, when I started learning Italian. And so, like, I even thought it was bruschetta for a million years. So I'm not going to blame anybody else for not thinking. That's bruschetta. But yeah. If you watch food shows on the Food Network, they always make a big deal of it. Can we delay? No. The next episode is one of the greatest of all time. I am like so happy that Kat specifically got to review this episode of Domestic Girlfriend. Like it's so perfect. Like thank the gods in heaven that Kat got the fucking yaoi teacher episode of Domestic Girlfriend.
Oh my god. So yes. You're right, Bcom. This episode should be called of Domestic Girlfriend, the yaoi teacher, but it's not. It's called Right Here and Now, Try to Kiss. So this teacher called Kiria, like in the very beginning of the episode, he asks like Natsuo, he's like, "What's your taste in literature?" And like while weirdly hitting on him. And you're just like, what the fuck is happening? So, like, throughout the season...
it's garbage. That's what's happening. You shouldn't be surprised.
Throughout the season, he accumulates the different tropey girl characters, right? Like, he gets the younger sister, he gets the older sister, he gets the slutty girl who will fuck him anytime he wishes.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has the like shy literary girl.
Ooh.
Like he's got all the tropey girls fawning over them like a fucking parade. We had to have the random boy character inserted. I will say
He didn't expect this.
At least it's like it's slightly different this time because it's a grown adult man instead of a weirdly like trappy boy. At least it's not a trappy boy.
But it is
Once
like
again.
another teacher because like Hina is a teacher as well.
So basically, he must put on some cologne in the morning that's just like, oh, do teacher, like have all the teachers want to fuck me cologne. I don't know because apparently they all do. They all want to fuck Natsuo, this stupid scrawny boy. So I don't know. Rui asks him to walk around with her after school to look at all the clubs. And he has this weird flashback where he thinks once again about the time he had to shove a suppository up her ass.
Look,
And
it
it's
was
like-
traumatic.
And it's like, does she want me to? And I'm like, no, you idiot. She's not coming to you to ask you to put anything else up her ass. Like, I don't know why you are thinking about this right now.
But how can you be sure?
But how can you be
Just-
sure that
they're
she's not
just-
coming to you in the middle of the hallway at school being like, please, will you put something else up my ass? Because I so enjoyed that.
She's giving him mixed
No.
signals, Kat. I don't know.
They're just doing it because they can bring it back up again. That's all that's going on here. Don't think
Oh
into
my
it.
god. No girl is like, remember that time you had to put a suppository up my ass because I was so fucking sick that I almost died? I really want you to do that again because it was so fucking hot for me.
Come on,
no
Kat.
one is saying that.
Some
Okay?
some girls like it in the ass.
Some girls do like it in the ass, but they don't like it like a suppository shoved up their ass when they're so sick they almost
Hey,
died.
to each their own kinks.
Oh my god. So after that stupid scene, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. His friends figure out his little date and come along to oogle the girls at these clubs. So now, for a few minutes, it's just a porn of different girls in sports outfits.
Oh, yeah. Swimming club was a good one.
Yeah, and you're just like, yes, we know. Like, they're all very hot. Also, she's upset his friends are being so blatant about their obsession with these girls in the swim outfits. And basically, they're kind of ruining her little date, too, so she's annoyed.
Yeah, they were like, he says something like, I'm sorry about them, but like kind of all guys are like this. And for a moment, I got like defensive, but then I remembered back to high school, and I was like, well, if my friends had had a chance to like go around and look at like the girls' clubs in high school.
This is
You
this
know
is
they
high
would've
school
done it.
boy behavior. Come on.
Yeah, it's standard.
pretty
no way around
typical,
that.
actually.
Yeah. So they go to the library, too, and he borrows this book that he wants to read. And, like, later he returns it, and he sees the teacher from before that hit on him, like, almost looking like he's about to make out with a student. And
Yeah.
her name is Mew. And basically, she claims that he just had an eyelash on him, and she was getting it off. What? Okay, so, like, you
Yeah,
find
no.
out later that she is the most shy fucking character ever. There's no way that
No
she's
way.
going up to this teacher and being like, let me get this eyelash off of you seductively. That would never happen. She would never do that. I don't know what the fuck was going on here.
Also,
I
they
just
show
think-
her eyes closed. So if she's
Yeah.
actually getting an eyelash off his face, why are her eyes closed? That's my
Yeah, no,
case
it's-
shut. Call the fucking judge.
I don't know. Maybe she's covering for him and he was like, let me see how far I can get with this shy bitch. She won't say no. I don't know. Because apparently this guy's just a creepy sexual predator anyway. So I wouldn't put it past him. The teacher basically forces him at this point to join Lit Club as an excuse to weirdly sexually harass him. And
It's
uses
lit.
the book he checked out illicitly as leverage. And I'm kind of like, if you know you're about to be sexually harassed, I don't think accidentally checking out a book like illicitly is enough leverage. I would just be like, I'm a pass. That's fine. You can do what you want. But whatever. It's an anime. he ends up having to hand flyers out for the new club at school, after school. There's a weird moment in the hallway where the teacher claims that he entered a contract to become his slave. And I'm like, stop with these fucking... Like, if you want to fuck him so bad, just go behind the shed and hit on him and see if he'll let you fuck him in the ass. Why are you doing all this?
Look,
like,
this isn't Bloom Into You, Kat, all right?
Well, okay, but like, don't just say weird things like, "Oh, you've entered into a contract to become my slave." Like, try it. I'll enjoy seeing the scene where you try to fuck him. If it doesn't work out, like, why are we playing around with these games?
I don't want to be on this podcast anymore.
Because he wants to keep his job, allegedly, ostensibly.
Well, I don't know if he really does, because he's not trying very hard, Bcom, to keep his job. Let's put it that way.
Good point.
I mean, with all the shit he pulls in this episode. Okay, so also the shy girl didn't hand out any flyers because she is useless.
She's got a quiet voice.
Please come to Literature Club.
I'm just like, and I just was thinking all the while, like, why can't he just bang her? Like, she's sane. She's not mentally deranged. She's like, so like, I would understand why he doesn't want to bang Momo because she's not in a good place herself. So like, I get that.
Let me ask you, Kat,
seems fine.
Is she his sister?
No, she's not his sister. She's not mentally disturbed right now. Like, and she's a little bit of a pushover. I bet she would let him fuck her, and then he wouldn't have to fuck his sister.
I mean,
so like, why
sounds like
can't
a downgrade
we do this?
to me.
She's letting the teacher fuck her, maybe.
Most likely.
Yeah, downgrade. It's just such a disappointment. None of the excitement of banging your own sister.
Absolutely.
It's just flavorless. Oh my god. Anyway, later the teacher, Kiria, puts a letter into his shoebox, and it like looks like a love letter, and he's excited, but it's just saying like there are club activities today, and you better fucking be there. And then this fucking teacher urges them to kiss as part of their club activities, since like him and Mew.
Yeah, because if they want to become great writers, they have to experience romance.
You need to experience it. It's research. And I'm just like, do you want to lose your job? Do you want to be in jail? Because, like, you're acting like it. I don't know. Maybe it's a cry for help. Who fucking knows? He hesitates for a second, since Mew is really ready to do it. Which, fucking Mew, why the hell are you ready to do it? You don't know this dude.
She believes in herself.
That's the thrill. It's all about the thrill.
She is such a fucking pushover.
She'll do anything to become a great writer.
Anything. I feel like if Kiria was like, strip off all your clothes and stand on top of this desk, she would fucking do it because she's such a pushover. I'm pissed off at her.
And she would be blushing the whole time.
Oh my god. So, like, he finally says he can't. Kiria says this gives him an idea about his character. Later, Ryu basically says, like, can I join your club, the Lit Club? And he says, like, that would be nice. It would take some of the pressure off of me. Mew and him, like, have this scene at one point where they write notes back and forth in the library, and it's very cute. The next day, Ryu and Momo, like, join the club.
Not Ryu.
Rui. I don't know.
Yeah. Not a Street Fighter
and
character.
Momo and like decide they're both going to join the club. And you also learn here that like Momo is very smart and in the top 10 of her class, except when she has a boyfriend and then her grades fall.
Precipitously drops off. Yeah.
But, that's a good... I liked that they put that in there. Like, she is a smart person. And, like, I also feel like everyone in high school knows a Momo, right? Where, like, they're so smart, but like they get so infatuated.
Yeah.
And then it's like that person is their whole life.
Yeah, definitely. Had friends like that. And to some extent, I was sort of like that in senior year of high school.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all been guilty of it at one point. It's a phase. I don't know. But yeah, Rui goes... Rui,
yeah.
Rui goes to the... I can't say her name very easily for some reason. Goes to the cafe later and talks to the Well, I'm gonna call them the gender neutral waiter.
Yeah, basically.
She says she's been feeling really different lately and describes her feelings to this person. And they go into this exposition and explain that they used to be in the Yakuza.
Yeah.
Like family business, oldest brother, which is hilarious. Like to imagine like a transgender Yakuza character. I love it. He fell in love with a boss from another group apparently. And like you just see this whole like wild thing that you didn't even know that he was a part of. It's epic. And he says that like strong emotions come with pain, but they're a treasure. And he's basically like, you're in love. Which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
And the older sis, like at the very end, seems like she's asking him out on a date, but probably isn't. So
she's got to make it up to him. She's caused him so much trouble.
Let me make it up to you by taking off my clothes.
I mean, that would be a quick way. Yeah, I love that backstory for the bartender, the Yakuza who fell in love with another Yakuza. I love it. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, he's like rejected that whole life, and he or she, I guess, but it's like just spending their time in a bar giving people life lessons. It's a good way to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Leo, you said you got heartburn this episode?
I literally had heartburn by the time the episode was over. And it was developing before that scene. It was like my body was trying to physically tell me about this repressed memory. Because she got heartburn, and it's just slowly since the episode started, I was like, God damn it, I could feel it coming on. By the end, it was just like full blown. I was like, no fucking way.
That's pretty hilarious.
That is funny.
Yeah, so the show physically, it literally gave me heartburn. It sucked.
Nice.
All right, Kat, you're going to have to tell us about this new character in Kaguya-sama.
All right, so
he's
the last of the marathon. Kaguya-sama, episode 6. So the first skit, we meet the treasurer, and he's like this slightly emo kid whose name is Yu, and he's got these fucking headphones that he just wears all the time, and he's apparently been like biding his time, wanting to quit, and like tries to do it, and that's why we finally meet him, is because he's like, well, I have to actually show up to fucking quit. When Miyuki hears he wants to quit, he like freaks out and begs him not to, because apparently like they'll go bankrupt, and he's the only one who's keeping them afloat as a treasurer. And apparently, the only council position that is elected is the president, and the other positions are appointed based on ability. And despite being a first year, Miyuki appointed him, so I guess he does have skills. And the reason he gives for wanting to quit is that he thinks that he's going to be murdered by Kaguya, and I'm just like, what? I don't
that was
get it.
Okay. I thought
like,
that was.
So the one thing I like about this
see.
guy is that he understands like Kaguya's like true personality, kind of, because like understanding Kaguya, like at least her, her bad side, you would be worried about getting killed by her. But yeah,
I guess I get that. He does. I would say of the two of them, he probably understands her more than Miyuki does, and he's also weirdly attracted to her. So maybe he's a better fit for her in the end. Who knows? But yeah, so he's like, I think I'm gonna be killed, and like he basically goes into this explanation. He's like, I can't tell you why, because like he's like, why do you think this? Like Miyuki is, and Yu is like, I can't tell you why, But there's a flashback where Kaguya had put this coffee coupon under the table so she could lure Miyuki into going with her to this coffee place after he's like, it's too expensive. But Yu found it and was like, why is this taped here? Before they came in and like took it off and ruined it. And she's like, die, and like looks at him with these eyes, and he's like, fuck. So he's aware that she likes Miyuki, basically. So she threatens him about the tickets. And is like, don't fucking tell. And then last week he asked her, like, are you in love with Miyuki? And she flips out, and there's like her coffee cup is just shaking, and she's like, no. no, I'm not in love with him.
Yeah.
And of course, Yu has like no ability to understand sarcasm at all. And so he's just like, oh, okay, then I'll give him a hint that you don't like him so that he doesn't keep trying to pursue you. And she like almost murders him.
Yeah. She's like strangling him with the couch.
He's like, you will not do that. And I was like, well, maybe you should just both be honest. But then we wouldn't have this anime, so.
Agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, so she basically uses the corner of the couch to almost strangle him. And I love how Yu's like, she has the skills of a trained assassin. She's a natural born serial killer, which, I mean, that's probably true. He also thinks Kaguya will kill Chika. I guess because she's like worried that Chika will steal Miyuki. Suddenly Kaguya comes into the room covered in blood with a knife, talking about the drama budget, and they freak out and is like, beg her to turn herself in, but it's just a costume. Mm-hmm. And then Chika comes in and she's like dressed as a murder victim, and she's like, Kaguya killed me, and they both are like, oh no, but of course it's also just a costume.
I liked Miyuki's like, how's that knife being held into your chest? And she
Yes.
just goes like, boing, and the knife pops out.
She was literally just
it's
holding
like-
it with the strength of her breasts.
with the tensile strength of her tits.
That was
Yeah.
the best part of that whole fucking scene. I totally agree, Leo.
And it's
Yeah.
like going on in the background of the scene. Well, of course, the best part has to be with Chika.
Of course, everything.
Well, it always is, yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, at the end, like, there's this scene where Kaguya, like, kind of threatens you, and he's like, if you had blabbed the secret, this wouldn't be a toy knife. And, like, basically, it's like, you can't fucking resign. Like, you'll put Miyuki in a bad situation. So, like, basically, if you resign, I'll kill you, and if you tell him, I'll kill you. So, he's fucked. I don't know. That's the end of that skit. The next skit is this psychology test skit. It's kind of cute. Like, did you guys find yourself answering the questions while she was asking them?
I actually found myself predicting the questions.
Oh,
So
really?
I reached out on our Discord. I was like, is this am I remembering this from like some super old skit from something else, or is this borrowing this from a different show? But nobody really seemed to have known, because it was just so eerie to me, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to say, 9, and it's going to be because of how many kids he wants. And I was like, why do I fucking know this shit? So I don't know what that was about.
That's
That is
interesting.
weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently, like, the first one is like, there's a cage in front of you. How many cats are in the cage? And apparently it has to do with how many kids you want. I'm just like, that's weird. But also, why does Miyuki want 9 fucking kids?
Well, I think do you think cats, you think 9 lives, so you go answer with 9.
Well, but he also agrees when she says it's how many kids you want. He's like, that seems about right.
I
And I'm just like, you're insane.
imagine the financial burden of 9 children.
Yeah, I'm like, you're insane. Nobody would want 9 kids unless you're certifiable. Maybe then. And then the second one's like, you're walking down a dark path. Somebody like taps you from behind. Who is this person? And then okay, so at this point, apparently Kaguya was like, I'm gonna get a jump up on this. She saw this book in the fucking school library like ages ago and was like, Chica will pick this book up. This will happen. And, like, so she memorized everything in the fucking book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so she's basically got this in her hand.
And she forces her maid to wear a paper with Chica's face on it over her face, and then pretend that she's Chica reading from the book to Kaguya, and then Kaguya's, like, answering the questions. And I'm just like, man, like, Ishigami is right to be like scared of Kaguya. Kaguya is fucking psychopath.
Yeah, I'm like, you're insane. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so basically the second question answer is like who you're in love with. So she says Chika instead, so like that she doesn't give away that she's in love with Miyuki. And then Yu says Kaguya, but out of fear, but I guess also kind of truthfully.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit fucked up by this. And he shows up later being like, is this like Stockholm syndrome? Is this the bridge effect? Like you know what that syndrome is, like the bridge effect, right? Where like if you are really afraid and have a traumatic experience and you look at someone, sometimes you're then attached to that person.
Yeah.
Oh man, and he's so fucked up by this that he like goes home. Yeah. And Miyuki's like, well, I hope you feel better soon. It's terrible. And then Miyuki almost says Kaguya, but then sees this like smirk on Chika's face and says his sister instead. And he just accepts the label of Siscon with like relief over being found out that he loves Kaguya. And I'm like, no, I would rather have it be known that I love someone than be a Siscon. Like, you're insane.
By the way, they're starting to tease his little sister a little bit this episode. And she seems real cute from like her voice and like the split second image we saw of her once. And I can already tell she's going to be a major character.
Shit.
Yeah. So, and then I think one of the last questions they do is like, you're in a field of flowers and the owner says you can take as many as you want home. Like, how many do you take? And like, you know, he says like, I would take the whole thing because I would sell them. And they're like, that's because you're poor. But like, really it ends up being like how much love you have for the person you're in love with. So it's like, oh, they really love them, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I like that little scene where Kaguya realizes that like since Miyuki like wanted to take a whole truckload of flowers, she imagines like a truck like backing up and dumping a bunch of flowers right on top of her as his love for her. It's pretty good.
Pretty much. But yeah, I really like the next skit though. Like you meet this blonde student who seems a bit off, like she's maybe a psychopath or something. Like she's got these friends, but it's obviously that she's very fake with them. Like, oh, I love you guys, like, bye. But she doesn't feel that way at all.
Oh, you're talking about That's Kaguya's maid.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the same person? Because like, I've only seen her before as like in her maid uniform, like at home.
Well, it's funny because as like a student undercover, she looks exactly like Yuzu from Citrus. Like, exactly. She's got the side ponytail. She's got, like, the Gyaru girl, like, short skirt, like, painted nails, like, look. It's exactly Yuzu.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I was like, who is this new character that they're not really introducing? Because their like, outfits are totally different. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you kind of get to know much better as a character this episode then. Because, like, I don't know. I'm interested in the way she's acting and all that.
Me too.
Kaguya says she's being a bit lax with her dress code because she's got this like whole Gyaru girl thing going on. But I basically is like, beauty is like live ammo for life and it's power, and like she's got this keychain that basically says that. I'm like, huh. I mean, she's not wrong, but like it's an interesting way for her to think considering she's the maid of her house.
Yeah, it's interesting that like, well, I can understand, like, imagine all the shit she has had to put up with being Kaguya's maid. So, like, maybe she does have an incentive to, like, push Kaguya to, like, you know, take control of her own life a little bit and, like, use, like, the power that she has over the president to just, like, end this stupid farce and, like, take things forward. Like, maybe that's her end game, like, to like, get Kaguya to just, like, get out of her hair and get over this part of her life.
Maybe. I don't know, but it is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, she knows boys don't give a fuck about nails, but like lies and says that they do in order to get Kaguya to let her do it. Kaguya basically like comments on her nails and how like unnecessary they are, but she's like, oh, but boys love these. And like, of course, she's like, will Miyuki love me if I have these nails? And she's like, oh yes, he will. And it's like, she's thinking in her head like, no, he won't. But like, you know. she wants her to be a little more glam, so she you know, pushes her into doing it. But yeah, so she's actually pretty embarrassed about the nails after she gets it done. So she hides them from everyone, but then doesn't hide them from Miyuki, who pretends not to notice, which I thought was hilarious. But Miyuki's kind of freaked out, like inside about like why she did this. And he's like, should I comment? Should I not comment? Will it be sexual harassment? And then suddenly you, which is out of the blue, comments on like Chika's conditioner and how she changed it and how it smells different.
Mm-hmm.
And Chika's like, that's creepy. And like you starts crying.
He's like, I want to die. He goes like, the person like, I want to die, so can I go home? He's like,
and of course, then Miyuki's like, well, I will never say anything because fuck that. Like, nope. I don't know. And then after school, he like tries to almost say something, like runs up to her and like tries to say that she's cute, but then runs away. Mm-hmm. And Kaguya's like happy. And I think Ai is kind of like jealous though, because it almost looks like she kind of likes Kaguya, like likes her. It's
really?
Interesting.
I didn't get that sense. Maybe. I don't know.
I got like a little weird vibe. But there's also this like weird flash of a person breaking through the screen at the very end.
I think that was supposed to be Yu or Ishigami. I think that was him, but I'm not sure.
Like, because it was so weird and creepy. Like, what?
Yeah, and like you said, like the narrator even was like, eh? Like,
yeah,
he's like, what
so
the hell
I don't
is
know
that?
what the fuck that's gonna be. That'll be interesting.
I must have fallen asleep. I don't remember that.
It was at the very, very end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was not that impressed by this introduction of Ishigami as a new character. Like, he adds a little bit with his, like, over-the-top fear of Kaguya, but, like, at the same time, Miyuki is already scared of Kaguya, like, as we know. So it's, like, not that much of a different dynamic from the way, like, Miyuki acts. So, to me, like, I wanted something a little bit different from a fourth character here, and
I just thought he was boring, and when I got to know him a little bit, I was like, another depressing downer character. I don't know. That's what I don't like about Kaguya and Miyuki, for those reasons specifically.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, there were a few parts that were hilarious, just because he'd be like, "I want to die" or something. So I'll forgive it for now.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna give him a chance, but like, it wasn't like the greatest introduction. Is all I'm basically saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Also, like, this show is not making any, like, actual progress or, like, progression. Like, one of the things I liked about, like, really great romantic comedies is they do all, like, the dumb shenanigans, and it's really funny, but then you also, like, learn, like, a lesson or something, or, like, you get, like, some kind of, like, solid, like, progression, like, or, like, movement towards progression, and whereas here it's, like, I don't really feel that. I just feel like we're kind of, like, treading water most of the time. So, I don't know. It's all right, but like, I wish there was like a little bit more movement, like forward. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Let's move on.
All right. So the final show of the day is Dororo, episode 6. And so this is the second part of the 2-part story, the story of the Moriko song.
Yes.
So, this was good. You remember at the end of last ep that Hyakimaru got his right leg sliced off by that like spider demon or whatever?
Bit off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Much more gruesome.
Very gruesome, yeah. He does have his voice back though, and he's kind of like screaming in pain, but like he's got a very croaky voice that's like never been used before, basically. Like, he can't really form words. Mio returns home the next morning and she's bruised and sore from, prostituting the night before and
getting pounded into the dirt.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much.
Dororo is disturbed by seeing Mio bruised up as like she's attending to Hyakimaru, and he like runs off. And one of the orphan boys, Take, follows him and tells him that Mio has told them all that like the rice paddies around the country used to be golden and green everywhere instead of burnt up because of the war or dried up because of all these droughts that they've been having. And he says, like, their dream is to own their own rice paddy and, like, grow more rice than they can possibly eat. And I think, like, Dororo understands in that moment that despite what she's doing as a job, like, Mio is just trying to give these children hope and, like, doing everything she can to provide for them. And I think that changes his mind about what he saw.
Yeah. I mean, he basically is like, my mom never took this job.
Yeah.
It was the only job she wouldn't take. But, my mom is dead and you're not dead, so
exactly.
Maybe it's just your way of surviving. And I thought that was a great speech that he did there. That was awesome.
I really liked that speech too, yeah. And yeah, we got a scene back with Daigo, Hyakimaru's father. His rice fields are like in need of rain. And his son, Tahomaru, is like arguing with him, like, just like, let me lead an army into war, Dad. I need to get like some medals and shit. And so Daigo tells him that like he's underestimating war and he's clearly not ready if that's the way he thinks about it. And so Tahomaru like complains to his mom, who tells him like, no matter what I say, like your father's word is what's gonna go, so don't worry about me. And Tahomaru is like, well, you must hate me, Mom. And he has this flashback of when he was younger and he like climbed a tree like on their estate, and everybody's like super worried about him, except he looks down and his mom is just like focused on that Buddhist statue with the head cut off, not even thinking about him at all. And so like that still like haunts him. He thinks his mother doesn't care about him. But like little does he know what the real deal is. But he realizes his parents are hiding something though. So, but yeah, although Hyakimaru has regained his voice, he like refuses to speak because it's too loud for his own ears. But Mio like soothes him with her song again. And then the wandering priest, Biwamaru, explains to Dororo that whenever Mio sings, it relaxes Hyakimaru and it disperses those demon flames that are left over from when his body was taken away. And like those red like flames sort of like disperse. You see them like from like the soul vision or whatever. And yeah, Biwamaru warns that if like a demon ever leaves its cave, it could mean very bad things. Like, so it's like an ominous foreshadowing for what could happen with Hyakimaru.
Okay.
Like Mio stops singing and tells Hyakimaru, like, don't look at me so intently. My soul is probably filthy. But like Hyakimaru like reaches his hands out to like gently hold her face in his hands. And she's actually, I like she looks him like right in the eyes and she's really surprised. Because like usually she would just like reject the touch of any man because of like what she's experienced. But she tells him like, I don't loathe the touch of your hands actually. And she's kind of surprised by that.
And this is the point where I started rooting for them. I was like, yes, like, get married, have 50 babies, like, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did want to root for them as well. They have a lot of great chemistry. But, yeah, so one of Daigo's armies is, like, annoyed that they haven't been sent reinforcements, but they decide they're going to launch a surprise attack on the enemy anyway. And so Mio's heading out to work again, sees Dororo, and like this is where they have that exchange that Kat was talking about, where you know Dororo's mother used to travel around a lot, but would never become a prostitute. It's the one job she wouldn't do. And Mio's like, your mother was very admirable, but Dororo's like, well, yeah, but she died, and you're surviving, so I admire that as well. And so yeah, Dororo tells Hyakimaru like never to lose himself. And never to become a monster, and like Hyakimaru doesn't respond, but like he's like carving this new prosthetic leg for himself to replace the one that got cut off halfway. And the orphans are impressed by this new leg and his like arms, like he's like showing them off, like he's like really good at carving those legs.
Do yeah.
And they also like they look at like his like katana arms and they're like, oh, you know, we have some of those, and they show him this like cache of katanas that they've taken off battlefields hidden away. And so Mio heads to work and she thinks she overhears someone hiding by the road, and we can see that there's a man there from one of Daigo's units preparing like their surprise attack. And so Dororo awakes that night to find that Hyakimaru has gone to fight the demon again. Even though like he's like barely recovered. And he tells like Dororo tells Mio just as she's returning home, and she's followed by some of Daigo's troops. And it also starts to rain on Daigo's rice fields for just a minute. But like as that's happening, like Dororo is slicing the head of the spider demon off and killing it. And then the rain like immediately stops and Daigo's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And so defeating the demon has also regrown Hyakimaru's leg again, so he doesn't need that prosthetic.
I was like, that's bullshit. Like, you can't just regrow his leg again. That's not how this should work.
I thought that was a little disappointing, too. I was like, it should have, like, regrown his leg and then also added some other new thing or something. Like, yeah, it seemed weird that, like, you go a step back and then just regrow something you already regrew. It seemed weird. But they start walking back, him and Dororo, only to see that the temple is in flames. And the soldiers are all slaughtering the orphan children. And Mio's on the ground. And they apparently suspected Mio of being a spy because she did business at both of the military encampments. So they've like mortally wounded her. And she's laying on the ground dying, and she's like gently singing her song. And Hyakimaru like sees this, and his eyes go wide, and his like lips are like quivering with
felt
anger.
like his rage was easily felt.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I was like, I totally get where you're coming from right now, buddy.
Yeah, and if you couldn't like feel his rage just from looking at him, when he starts like he unleashes like this animalistic scream, and then he just tears the soldiers to fucking pieces that are around him.
And I was like, no, like he was gonna have a waifu, and he was gonna, no.
Oh my god!
I was so bummed.
I could see where that general had suspicions about Mio being a spy.
Yeah,
but then after coming upon her orphanage, I would think he would, reevaluate that. Also, he's like fucking killing children, so he's probably a piece of shit, anyways.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah, it's sad either way. It sucks.
It is sad.
It was fun to see Hyakimaru tear those guys apart, though. Like,
it was epic.
Really gory. Like,
holy
shit.
Fuck, it was epic. And of course, Dororo was like, oh no, like, I have to stop this. Like, he's gonna become a monster.
Yeah. He stops him before he slaughters, like, the last soldier and, like, pleads with him not to become a monster. And he shows them that, like, Mio, like, and after her last like job had actually got some seed rice for like a new patty off of like one of the samurai. So like Dororo in that sense says that she won in the end. And then like the first word that Hyakimaru actually speaks is like Mio, as he's holding her dying body in his arms. And the next morning after burying the dead, Dororo and Hyakimaru head out. And Dororo gives the seed rice to Hyakimaru to hold on to, and like Mio's song is playing as they're like walking down the road, and like all of the sides of the road just like transform into like sort of golden rice patties in their imagination. And it was nice, but also very sad.
Very sad and
such
sucky.
a sad ending.
Yeah, I was like bummed, but yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah, I guess like for their journey to continue, I don't know. Like,
I mean, she could have traveled with them.
She could have, like, yeah, but I guess you wouldn't expect
they would have taken all the kids also, so not really.
I guess, yeah, you're right. They would have had to have had like some terrible scene where all the kids were slaughtered or something.
Oh wait, they did. Huh.
But like, yeah, you're right. Like they could have just defended them, and then like they could have stayed there and just like vowed to like return once they've destroyed all the demons or something,
Yeah, but yeah. But
well.
Yeah, what happened happened. That sucks.
Yeah. Still loving this show. It's so solid.
This show.
Oh, yes.
I do. It's one of the best of the season, for sure. If not, I honestly think it's the best. But
yeah, like and like everything about it. Like I love the music, and I just love the animation.
Actually has a plot. It actually has a plot, and it's a good plot. Something very, very hard to come by this season.
I wonder who Hyakimaru's voice actor is. I didn't look that up.
I didn't either. They're probably like, oh, I finally get to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is Suzuki Hiroki.
I haven't heard that name before.
It's his only voice acting role.
Oh.
No, I guess he doesn't need much work, so it's probably why.
Well, it was a good scream.
Oh wait, that was that? No, yeah. I'm sorry, that was Dororo.
That makes sense because that's actually a kid, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
There's. He says he was born in Oh, what the? No, I'm sorry, that was for Hyakimaru.
No, that is for Hyakimaru. Yeah,
Dororo is Suzuki Ryo. She was born in 2005. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Born in 2005.
Confused there. Yeah.
Oh, so I guess 14-year-old girl. Well, maybe 13. Oh.
Yep. So, want to talk about some mid-season cuts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about. I'll talk about some shows I've actually caught up with. I'll just like briefly talk about a couple things. I've watched some more Girly Air Force.
Oh, I don't know how you can watch that, Bcom. That's insane.
So
You didn't watch the great Kotobuki instead?
Oh, I've been watching that, but like on and off, sort of. But I'm still enjoying that. It's just, I think all of our like concerns about it were sort of justified. Is that like it doesn't have that interesting of a story. It's just really fun to watch for the dogfighting. Kotobuki. Girly Air Force is fun to watch because it's dumb, like really dumb, like dumber than Dome Kano dumb. But like, yeah, they introduced the second plane as like an F-15 Strike Eagle, and it's like this American blonde girl with big breasts, and she's really dumb.
Nice.
It's just like exactly what you would expect, but like sometimes it's fun to watch like that dumb fluff every now and then, and just like maybe not to cover it for the podcast, but just like to turn your brain off and just laugh that things like this still get made. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
I've also kept up with Wiz or Wise, I guess it's called.
I don't know how.
Oh,
Okay.
because I'm group watching it, and it's just like none of us understand even what's happening. Like I think even if we were paying attention, it would be really difficult to understand what is happening. It is completely nonsensical most of the time. The music is terrible. I remember like the most recent episode I watched, like the DJ gives this big performance where like everybody's like talking about like, oh man, the music is so good.
I think you talked about this already.
Yeah, but like, okay, so the funny thing is like, yes, I did talk about this already, but it's a different performance, but it's the same exact music, and they're acting like it's different music. They're acting like he's like made some revelation, and it's just the same exact song. And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
That's terrible.
It was weird. Okay, I also, so there's a person on our Discord named Hearts who told me to check out Hula-ing Babies, which is like
what the fuck is that? Okay,
it's a
explain this
weird title. So it's this little 5-minute short about these girls in Japan, but they're in this part of Japan that's like the Hawaii of Japan or something, that is like really known for hula dancing or something.
Is that a thing? Is that a real
don't
thing?
know if that's a
Is there really a Hawaii of Japan? I don't
Maybe.
think so. I think that's bullshit.
I
But
can
okay.
say
Yes.
I can say Japan loves Hawaii because when I went,
Yeah.
there was.
I mean, yes, they do love
there
Hawaii.
was the Japanese tourists outnumbered everybody by far.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because then we went to like the Pearl Harbor thing, and there's just nothing but Japanese people around us.
Well, that's like when I went to the Hiroshima Museum.
Yeah, it's like
The
us going to
Comic
the
Con
Hiroshima
Museum.
Museum. I always thought
opposite.
if you do that as an American, like you just must feel so fucking bad. You're just like sitting there, like, hey. Yep, that's what my country did. Sorry.
Whoops. Yeah. So yeah, Hula-ing Babies was actually really interesting. It's 5 minutes long. It's really short. And it's mostly about these like cute girls who have like a hula dancing like club. But it's got really unique and weird animation that really stuck out to me.
What's this on?
Nothing. It's not on anything. That's the one problem with it. And like
I wondered because I hadn't seen this on any streaming site.
yeah, and like I don't know the people who are working on it very well, like or the studio very well, but it is like a really unique looking show, and it's very cute, and it's kind of like very comfortable to watch and very like chill. So I can see why people are enjoying it for like a little short watch. Like, of course, you could like easily binge half of the season in like 25 minutes. So if you want to do that, go for it. But yeah.
Very cool.
One other thing I watched was called Virtual San wa Miteru. This is like if you took 5 Kizuna Ai-chans and made a show about them like being in like a Japanese variety show. I didn't even make it through all of the first episode, even though I was enjoying it, because it was just so much. Like,
Really?
It was so much to handle. Like, it's really funny, honestly, but I just couldn't take it at the time. Like, I was watching it this afternoon, and I was just like, I can't today. Like, I just can't.
Good.
It's so weird. I don't know if it's the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. I'm stuck between. It might be the best thing ever. I'm not sure. I think more people need to watch the show and like let me know because it's really ridiculous. But yeah, it's just like a bunch of like virtual YouTube type characters who are all like complete parodies of idols that you would see on like Japanese like reality shows and stuff. And it's
I don't know.
Interesting.
That seems vapid, but
then
I'm
like the
glad
second
you're
part of the
enjoying
episode, they cut to this scene that was in space that had completely different characters. So I don't know if this is like a Pop Team Epic type of thing where it's just going to be like all sorts of weird characters. It seemed like there's going to be some recurring characters because they were in the OP, and they all had like really nice character designs, and like the CG was actually kind of nice. But you can tell it's like, you know, it's like the virtual YouTuber stuff where it's like some person is acting out these motions and then they're translating it to like animation.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's kind of fun though.
Well, I have been watching the really edgy anime. That's what's it called? Fuck.
Shield Hero?
I don't.
No, the one that where the magical girls are killing each other.
Oh,
you know I'm all
Asuka.
Magic Girl Spec Ops.
Spec Ops. Yeah.
It's okay. It's not great. Actually, it's less gory and less like edgy than the Magic Girl anime from like 2 seasons ago. The one with the psychotic older brother who like...
Oh, Magical Girl Sight. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Magical Girl Sight more because it was even more gory and even more ridiculous and edgy. This one's just like a little bit gory and a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm still watching it. I'm also watching that the cat show.
My cat is a roommate.
My roommate is
Yes.
a cat.
My roommate is a cat, sorry.
I love that show, and I know it's just fluff, and I know it's dumb, and I just put it on just while I'm doing other things. It's nothing that you focus on, but it's cute, and it's adorable, and I enjoy the fuck out of it. So,
Okay.
The only
you,
other
Leo?
thing I had seen is I did end up watching the 3rd episode of The Price of Smiles,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Oh,
do
okay.
like the direction it is going in. It seems rather interesting. Really can't say much more on it, but
Yeah, I didn't catch up with that either, though I've heard good things from multiple people, so I think I'll eventually catch up with it. But another podcast reviewed it and said that was terrible, so I don't know. Like mixed reviews. It like we said, it's like a thin season. Like so
it really is. The next season will be better.
Yeah, for sure. Though not as good as it could have been because Chihai got delayed until October, which is sad.
Yeah, well, I'm just
very
mad
sad.
that fucking show that they teased us is not coming out next season. It's going to be another season. Don't put out a whole
El
episode.
Malloy's detective stories, whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's epic looking. And the whole episode was amazing. I'm sorry. I could go on a rant about this all day. Okay, so are we going to drop any of our consensus picks?
I don't
I don't think so. Like, I still like almost all the things that we're watching.
I do too. I would say Domestic Girlfriend is the weakest one, but I don't think there's anything great to replace it with.
I would say Kemurikusa is probably the weakest one in my mind, just because, like...
Well, of the consensus picks,
the consensus picks? Yeah, probably Domestic Girlfriend is the weakest, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but
We're all loving Dororo, The Promised Neverland, Mob Psycho, and JoJo, so of course.
Yeah. So, but like, there's really not anything amazing to replace it with. Like, I love My Roommate as a Cat, but like, we're not gonna review that week to week. Like, there's nothing there to talk about. It's just cute and like, oh, it's a cat. So like, it's fine. There's nothing better.
As someone who has seen a couple of future episodes of Domestic Girlfriend, there is no fucking way we were replacing this show.
Oh, you watched ahead. So okay, it gets better. That's good.
No.
I don't know if it gets better. It's just
more
fun
terrible.
to talk about.
More
Okay.
trash.
More
Just
trash. Stay tuned for more trash.
So right now in South Korea, they have this ginormous pile of trash that keeps it's causing problems because it's like right next to this like farm, and it keeps catching on fire, and they
Are
keep
you
putting it out.
implying that this
So,
is the
like,
trash
This is
fire
that-
of the
this is
season?
that trash heap.
Oh my god!
Nice.
You heard it here. Okay, but what about our lock? So, like, I am not getting rid of my lock because I think it's a good one and there's nothing better.
Yeah, Kaguya. Yeah, Kaguya's fine. As much as I complain about it, I still think it's one of the stronger shows of the season. Even if it's in, like, the bottom of the top 8, it's still in the top 8.
Like, there's just not much. Like, I would love to replace that, but I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But, like, there's not anything better.
There's nothing out there that's really going, wow, that we didn't pick up initially. So
yeah.
Same with Run with the Wind. Like, we've come this far, and like I still find it like interesting. And, like, I think the last arc is going to be the best arc of the show.
I agree with that.
Or the most soap opera, and we'll hate it. But like either way, it'll be something to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I just said, there's nothing out there that I've noticed that's just like doing, like so much better than Kemurikusa. And I'm really liking Kemurikusa. I'm like, I'm pretty committed to the show. I really want to know what these mysteries are and where it goes.
They hooked me with the diary stuff.
I will continue to watch it. I will try.
I went into episode 6 with like an open mind of like if I want to drop this or not, and then like they hooked me with all that diary stuff, and the older sister also was a cool character. So I'm back.
I really liked her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good enough for me.
Okay. If that's
all
it.
Right. Yeah, so I guess we're not. This might be the first season in a while we haven't changed anything.
Yeah,
I think it was like 2 seasons ago or something like that, or maybe 3 seasons ago. There was another season we didn't drop anything, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher, and follow us on Twitter at Nerdom for updates as well. You can also come and hang out at our Discord with us. The link will be in the description. You'd also be awesome if you guys wrote us a review. We will read it. Kat will in her sexy voice. And with all that said, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
See ya.